Hi, this is Terrence with Boykin Realty, brokered by Keller Williams. I hope your year has gotten off to a great start. I know it has here at Boykin Realty. This real estate market in the Triangle is still unbelievably hot. So much so that we've got just over a month's worth of inventory in our market. Now, what that means to a buyer is that we've got very few homes on the market for the number of buyers that are looking. Now, that's great for our sellers, but not for our buyers. That usually means that houses are on the market for a day, a weekend, maybe a week. We are still running into a lot of multiple offer situations, and it's driving a lot of buyers either not to find the home they want, to have to search for sometimes months or a year, literally, for a home, or in worst case scenario, which I really don't like to see for my buyers, they continue renting or they end up buying a house that they really don't want just because of time constraints. I wanted to talk to you today about a few strategies that we've seen that has really helped our buyers get in the very best position to buy a home. The first is getting pre-approved. And trust me, it doesn't hurt. It's a simple process. For most buyers, we can get you pre-approved in less than a couple hours. For some, it may take a day or two. We can find out what your credit score is. Maybe we need to take a couple months to a half a year to work on that score to get it up a little bit. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize that we run into as well is we may need more financial information for you than you've thought about. Simple things like extra tax information, letters about your student loan, or work information. Now, these things aren't that difficult to get, but sometimes they may take a while. The last thing we want is to find that perfect house for you and then realize one of these items is not in place. We have to get it. By that time, that house is off the market. The second step is running the numbers on what your monthly payment and your upfront costs will be in buying a home. You may be in a position now where you're comfortable with your monthly payment. When you're purchasing a house, there are some upfront costs that you may not think about. Now, most people are prepared to make a down payment. It's not as bad as it used to be years ago when to buy a house, you generally had to come up with about a 20% down payment. I would say for most of our buyers these days to be prepared for anywhere from a 5 to 10% down payment. You'll also want to be prepared for what's called closing costs. Now, a lot of people aren't familiar with closing costs. Those are the extra fees that you have when purchasing a home. Paying for the inspection, paying for the attorney, paying for a survey. That will usually amount anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 depending on the type house that you're buying and the lender that you're working with. If you're buying a $300,000 house, that amount could range anywhere from $20,000 to about $36,000. You really have to take a financial inventory to make sure you've got that money on hand or accessible to get into that perfect house. The third step in being prepared to find that perfect home is knowing what you're looking for in a home. You'd be surprised at how many times I sit down with a couple and I ask, what are your must-haves for your next home and what are your absolutely nots? So often I see them looking at me and they just kind of have a blank stare on their face like they really haven't thought about it. The other situation I run into is after I ask that question, one spouse will start naming all these items they want in the house, and I can see that other spouse just kind of rolling their eyes like, what are they talking about? So we want to make sure that we're all on the same page in what you're looking for in a house. Take some time to sit down and think about how you're going to use each one of those rooms. If you can take some time to sit down to think about these questions, that could save us a lot of Saturdays in the car looking at houses. Another big issue I come across is, do the kids want to stay in that specific school zone to either finish out the year or graduate? You'll also want to consider if you're moving into an established neighborhood or new construction, because new construction could take 6 to 8 months to build. So that time frame part of this is very important. The more you plan ahead, the more enjoyable your process can be. If you have any questions about buying your next home, give us a call at 919-675-9967 or find us at Raleigh'sBestAgent.com. Thanks for watching and have a great day.